ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Namaskar my dear friends, this is video number 3 on human brain. This video starts with the Pandora's box. The placement of the brain at the top of the human body matches with the superiority of its role as compared to the other organs. It sits at the head of the body as if Lord Shiva divine glory is present on the sacred Kailash peak of the Himalayas. The strong foot of the skull protects it from pollution, harmful radiation, effects of weather fluctuations, and also prevents it from being hurt due to external stroke or heat. Further, the outer walls of this foot are also in contact with the external environment so as to allow important cosmic signals to reach the brain. This organization is most suitable for the healthy functioning of the brain as well as the body. An infant's brain weighs only about 12 ounces. In a grown-up youth, it becomes about 3 pounds. Its functional capabilities increase at exponential rates as compared to the growth of its size and weight during this period. With the help of microfilms, we can store huge volumes of books in a tiny pocket. A healthy and normally developed human brain can store the amount of knowledge which, if printed, would require billions of huge volumes of books. Moreover, nature has endowed it with the potential to even double this capacity as and when required. If one half of the brain is damaged or hurt due to some accident or similar causes, the remaining half fulfills the task of both. We normally have two hands, two legs, two eyes, two ears, two lungs, two kidneys, etc. If one of these is lost, the normal functions of the body continue without much trouble because the other member of the pair can compensate to a large extent for the lost or failed one. The brain does so despite being a single organ. It continues to perform its essential duties efficiently even if half a portion becomes useless. During the Second World War, about 62 soldiers had to undergo major surgical operations in which half a portion of the brain was removed because of concussion. It was feared at the time that even if they survived, the memorizing capacity and efficiency of their brains would also be halved after such an operation. However, such apprehensions were found to be baseless, as the half brains of these soldiers worked normally like the complete ones. Size, weight, or physique of the body might be a good measure of its physical strength to some extent. However, that is certainly not the case with respect to the potentials of the brain. The brain of an elephant weighs about 10 pounds and that of a human only 3 pounds. But we all know that an elephant is not intelligent at all as compared to a normal human. Intelligence is found to be associated with the connectivity of the neurons in the cortex. More the number of active connections among these neurons, the higher will be the efficacy of information transmission and retrieved through them. The principle of cooperatively assures progress in every field of life. That is also the basis of intelligence can be easily seen in the structure and functional adaptability of the interconnected neurons. The human brain controls every activity of life. The domain of its regulatory tasks ranges from the body functions to mental faculties and from the wonderful creations of imaginations to the depths of sentiments and subtler fields of emotions and acumen. Every kind of experience is stored in its memory. Only the intelligent machinery of the brain performs the functions of reasoning, planning, and decision making. Whatever be the external structure, appearance, and activity of the body, the basic source of control of each and every component and function of the body lies in the brain. All the macro and micro level physiological, biochemical, cellular, and molecular activities inside the body are conducted under its regulatory mechanism. It is the core of the origin, cultivation, and culmination of the endeavors and tendencies of inclination towards philosophy, science, business, technical skills, art, music, adventure, etc. What is the present level of one's personality and what it would become in near future? This can be deciphered by the elucidation of his her mentality and emotional propriety. The amount of material substances in brain is very less, but its structural complexity, flexibility, storage capacity, and functional adaptability are marvelous. Its efficiency in retrieving any piece of information from the hidden stock of its memory almost instantaneously, and its parallel processing at ultra-fast speed make it a supreme computer. These, together with the unbound intelligence of the human brain, challenge that none of the advanced information systems, supercomputers, or other man-made artificially intelligent machines could ever match the functioning of a human brain in toto. Man-made devices perform only the particular task for which they are fabricated. Their power and efficiency depend upon their design. Such is not the case with the natural instruments like the human body and brain. The brain automatically controls its own development and can expand its capacities, potentials, activities, and efficiency beyond any limit. It begins to grow on its own since the time of birth of the fetus and continues to perfect its development till the time of death, along with performing its duties towards the other organs without any pause. In this respect, it may be likened to a teacher who, besides teaching regularly in the school, also continues his own studies and gradually passes higher grades of examination to expand his own scholarly talents. Recent developments in neurosciences have revealed many features of the structure and functions of the human brain. The facts known till date are so startling that this organ appears to be superior than the collective accomplishments of the most advanced technologies. What remains to be known about it could be more astonishing. Many layers of this majestic Pandora's box still remain closed. As stated earlier, in normal case, a large number of neuronal connections remain inactivated throughout the life of a human being unless some extra efforts are made. For instance, by yoga practices and other experiments of spirituality to stimulate them. Rousing of these latent centers of consciousness can bestow supernatural faculties. Then an ordinary human can enhance his physical power to compete with that of his giant and develop divine talents and potentials at the mental, intellectual, and spiritual levels too. Regular physical exercises and massaging etc. are practiced in order to energize the functional centers which maintain physical health. The metabolic activities are maintained by eating pure, nutritious, and digestive food in balanced quantities. Such practices ensure happy and healthy survival of the body in normal cases. However, extra care is essential for the refinement of mental capabilities and talents. The food intake of a person engaged in such an endeavor should be pure and austere and should also be changed by subtle energy. The latter helps stirring and arousing the reservoir of consciousness existing in the brain. The food of one's own refined thoughts, sentiments, and inner strength catalyzes the actions of the subtle energy. The external means useful in this regard consist of dedicated endeavors, sadhanas of practicing truth, austerity, and penance in every aspect of life, ascetic contemplation, and swadhyaya coupled with the sadhanas of spiritual elevation. Meditation dhyan is the simplest kind of sadhana which sublimates the flow of subtle energy in the brain. Focusing of sun rays on a convex lens results in generation of thermal energy and ignition. Channelizing of steam in a single direction triggers motion of a steam engine. Targeted attack of cannon gives rise to an explosion. These examples demonstrate the power of concentration. A large number of bioelectrical impulses and energetic currents continuously flow in the human brain. Focusing these to refine and strengthen specific quality of mind is accomplished by a dhyana sadhana. This also results in rousing the willpower and mental strength along with the sharpening of the intellect. The inner strength of the mind is more important than the might physical power of the body. The power of wealth and external resources or the impact of education and talent etc. One can rise up to those heights of development which are unimaginable in today's world and gracefully culminate the personality with the help of the awakened inner strength of the mind. Let the right side brain think too. In terms of anatomy and physiology, the structure and basic functions of the brain is the same in all human beings. Then what is the reason that some people become scientists, some artists, writers or otherwise talented and some do nothing? Some are intelligent to the level of genius while some are dullard or booby. The intellectuals and thinkers of all ages have addressed this issue. Mr. Betty Edwards writes in her book entitled Drawing on the Right Side of Brains that the right side hemisphere of the brain is found to be more active in the people who are endowed with creative talents. As such, the left and right parts together constitute the complete brain. However, the right side of the brain is found to be relatively more developed and active in the people having investigative mind with sound reasoning and insight. It is really beyond the capacity of a human skill to comprehend the amazing features of the brain or decipher why the eternal creator had given special roles to the two halves of a single organ. The brain material, which looks like a jelly brown substance made up of thousand billions neurons, is the main power generator in the factory of body. It is million times better than the supercomputer of the most advanced generation. Its central processing unit CPU receives, recognizes and processes several bioelectrical signals simultaneously in a matter of just a few microseconds. Bioelectrical signals are processed continuously in an active brain at a high speed of over thousands per second. They constitute the basis for the recognition and processing as per the information impulses received from the sense organs. The brain automatically produces the energy required for its own processing and continues to work efficiently without any rest throughout the normal life of a human being. The right hemisphere of the brain has been of special interest to the neuroscientists and psychologists of the modern age. Dr. Stanley Engelbert has written a thought-provoking article on this topic in the July 1988 issue of Reader's Digest. In this article entitled Are You Thinking Right? He has described significant aspects of the unique role of the right side of the human brain. He states most of us do not realize the immense potential inherent in our own self. We are not able to drive our intellect righteously. This is the reason why we are deprived of those qualities which most of the talented great personalities possess as natural endowments. Although it is not necessary for people in general to know the detailed structure of the brain or analyze the positions and processing of special functional centers in it. It would, however, be beneficial for all the people to be aware of how to make the best use of these precious organs to refine and rouse the mental and intellectual talents. The learned writer further describes that it is well known that the right hemisphere of the brain controls the motor and sensory activities of the latter half of the body, and the left hemisphere does that for the right portion of the body. The right side part of the brain is considered to be the functional center for artistic talents, soft emotions and creativity, and its left counterpart is the thought to govern talent, skillful activities, and extraordinary memory. However, it is not found to be so in our daily activities. When we try to collect where a particular object was kept, recall a person whom we had met earlier, or perform similar task of retrieving the memory, we make more use of the right brain as compared to the left. In the awakened state of the body, that is for about 16 hours of a day on an average, when the conscious mind is active, the shift to right process is carried out by the corpus callosum. This process requires about 50 watts per hour in a normal person's thinking. Nobel laureate Dr. Roger Sperry and his associates at the California Institute of Technology had analyzed the activities of epileptic patients before and after the brain surgery. It was found that the coordination or separation of the dual activities of the two halves of the brain change pattern of the electrical sparks impulses in it. A split brain syndrome was developed in the patients when the center connecting the left and the right halves of the brain was cut during surgical operations. Characteristics of dual personalities were then observed in the subject's patients. Moreover, because of lack of mutual cooperation and systematic organization and fine turning of the intellectual functions of the two hemispheres of the brain, such people were unable to make use of the specific talents they possessed. Similar kinds of observations made in several neurological research laboratories have led to drastic change in the classical views about the role of the two halves of the human brain. Better understanding of the brain functions has raised hopes for creative use of neurosurgical operations. People in the Indian society by and large force their lefty children to use the right hand instead of the left for most of the essential tasks including eating, writing, etc. This conviction also exists in the Western society. The conventional views about righteousness of the right hand are rather misleading. In fact, the right side brain of a person who naturally uses the left hand for every activity, be that holding a pen while writing or gripping a cricket bat or tennis racket while playing, etc., is more active than that in those who normally use the right hand. Forcing a lefty child to use the right hand triggers the harmful processing of shift to the left in his brain. This disturbs the harmony between the two parts of his brain and suppresses proper mental development of the child. As a result, such children often suffer from indecisiveness, mental complexes, and psychological abnormalities. Development of dual personality is a common phenomenon in such cases, according to Dr. Judy Helms of Connecticut. The right brain's major role is converted into a minor one because of a forced transformation of the lefty persons into normal by social convention ones. This should be avoided by generating social awareness about the importance of using the right brain. Professor Albert Einstein, renowned genius of the 20th century science, used to say that it is very much in our hand to train and elevate the creative potential of our brain. In his views, we should try to create by mental concentration a three-dimensional image and or detailed planning of what we intend to do. This ability is naturally gifted to every human being, and the right brain performs the tasks of planning and decision making. If before starting an important task we plan and thoroughly study the pros and cons, ifs and buts associated with it and register the image of the related thoughts in the right side brain, then the task would certainly be completed as per our expectations. He used to mention that he had developed a refined and made best use of his brain by such experiments on creative use of the two halves of the brain. In his book The Act of Creation, Arthur Coilster states that the thoughts which are torturing or disturbing the mind or which are mutually conflicting and perplexing and destabilizing internal peace should be expelled from the mind for a few seconds. After a while, thinking should be focused at the right side of the brain. The tumultuous thoughts would be systematically processed there and appear in the mind in a clearer and harmonized form. Calm thinking and thorough analysis of the related topic or problem would be easily possible in this state of mind. Such a conditioning of the mind could be practiced anytime while relaxing, scrolling, or meditating. Many psychologists and psychiatrists also opine that people can be trained to use their right side brains and thus develop the faculties of balanced thinking and sound reasoning. The Oriental philosophy and ancient science of human mind also emphasize that a human being is a controller of his own development. He can rouse the dormant talents and make best use of his mental faculties by realizing the potentials of his right side brain. Negligence of this half of the brain or improper use of its creativity is one of the major causes of the insignificant development of one's personality. We must therefore learn to activate this core of creative talents and intelligence and harmonize it with the left side brain with the help of simple spiritual practices like dhyan meditation. When one mentally concentrates on specific objects and links it with contemplation of divine ideals. During deep meditation, his consciousness gets linked with the subtle world. Gradually, his inner eyes, the centers of latent intellect, are awakened. If one sincerely performs such experiments at a regular pace in daily life, there is no reason why one would not be able to refine his intellect and activate some portion of the unused 93% of the real potential of his brain. It should always be beared in mind that righteous thinking and integrity of character are the key factors in supporting the elevation of intellect by any practice of conditioning and harmonizing the activities of brain.